Hello, fellow humans. My name is Poppy, and no, this just doesn't feel right. 1 second. Much better. Now, where was I? Yes. My name's Poppy, and I'm a tree. Of the Christmas variety, to be exact. I know my channel name may be deceiving, but this is the truth, and what better time to tell you than Christmas? It is my favourite season after all. I mean, who could blame me when you guys shower me with shiny things and gifts? But sometimes I find myself wondering just how much you humans know about where these traditions came from. The history of my ancestors goes back further than you might think. So, all in the spirit of this season, and, well, me, I'm going to be taking you on a journey through the ages to teach you a little bit more about how the modern day Christmas tree came to be. Quick disclaimer though, I'm not a historian, I'm just like any other tree with a semi-stable internet connection and access to Encyclopedia Britannica, so please forgive me if I make any errors. All of that aside, let's get right into it. As you're probably aware, we Christmas trees can be fresh cut, potted, or artificial evergreens, and are used as both indoor and outdoor decorations during the winter season. Although we're usually associated with Christian symbolism, we've become pretty secular over the years. And on that note, our roots actually go back a lot further than Christianity itself. Yes, before Christianity was even a thing, ancient Egyptians, Chinese, and Hebrews used evergreen trees, wreaths, and garlands to represent eternal life. And they weren't the only ones celebrating us. Tree worship was also common among the pagan Europeans, and even survived their conversion to Christianity by changing with the times. In Scandinavia, for example, they began decorating their houses and barns with evergreens at the new year to scare away the devil. And during Christmas time, they would set up a tree for the birds. This then evolved into the German custom of placing a Yule tree just outside the entrance or even inside a home for the midwinter holiday season. And that, in turn, brings us one step closer to the modern day Christmas tree. But one very small step, I'm still talking medieval times here. Because back then, a popular play about Adam and Eve used fir trees hung with apples to represent the Garden of Eden. These were named paradise trees and soon found their way into German homes as well. They would be set up on the 24th of December, the religious feast day of Adam and Eve, and would be decorated with all manner of symbolic items. In the beginning, people used wafers to represent the Eucharistic host, the Christian sign of redemption. Then, they moved on to cookies of various shapes, which is a bit tastier if you ask me, and candles, which were symbolic of Christ as the light of the world, were usually added as well. Of course, they used real ones. I just didn't really feel like setting fire to anything this time around. But the decorations didn't end there, because in the same room, German families would set up what was known as a Christmas pyramid. This was a triangular wooden construction that had shelves to hold Christmas figurines, and in quite a meta display of Christmassiness, it too was decorated with evergreens, candles, and a star. And yes, that very same star ended up moving away from the pyramid towards the end of the 16th century, when the Christmas pyramid and the paradise tree merged to become the Christmas tree. But you know, it wasn't until the 19th century that the Christmas tree became a truly deep-rooted German tradition. I mean, the Lutherans did it, sure, but it wasn't big until then. And that's also when the concept was introduced to England. But it was really popularised by the middle of the century, thanks to the influences of German-born Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's husband. And this is when we started to see the decorations get a little more intense. The Victorian tree would be decorated with toys and small gifts, candles, sweets, strings of popcorn, and somehow cakes hung from the branches by ribbons. Honestly, props to the Victorians, I have no idea how they did that. I ended up having to string the ribbon directly through the cupcake. I'm sure that wasn't the technique, but I tried everything I could think of, so yeah, well done guys. Anyway, Christmas trees really were the height of fashion by the 19th century, especially because they'd also been taken to North America in the 17th century. They were also popular in all the neighbouring countries such as Austria, Switzerland, Poland, and the Netherlands. But they even ended up spreading as far as China and Japan, where Western missionaries had brought them over in the 19th and 20th centuries. In Japan, these trees would be adorned with traditional ornaments in the beginning, These included small fans, paper lanterns, and origami birds and other animals. But during the 1920s, Japanese people began using more westernized Christmas decorations. So as the global need for snazzier decorations grew, so too did the industry surrounding them. As early as the 1870s, blown glass ornaments were being sold in Britain and the United States alike. Many of them were produced in small workshops in Germany and Bohemia, which also created decorations made from tinsel, cast lead, safety first, again, beads, pressed paper, and cotton batting. Sorry, I couldn't find anything like this online when I was shopping for certain, ingredients, you know what I mean, for this video, and frankly I didn't try very hard because these sort of spook me a little bit, their faces and I don't know, I think it's the uncanny valley thing going on, it's just a bit unnerving to me, so I didn't really want one in my house, sorry. I digress. By 1890, strings of electric lights had entered the market as well, and 40 years after that, the United States developed artificial trees made out of brush bristles. And then, the 1950s and 60s saw the mass production of aluminium and PVC plastic trees. They ended up gaining significant popularity, particularly in countries where fresh trees weren't so readily available. But despite the practicality of plastic, no one can deny the charm of a real fir tree letting out its piney scent from the corner of the room. The problem is, nowadays we understand just how vital trees are for the survival of our ecosystems. Natural forests would never be able to keep up with the annual global demand. And that is why 73 million new trees are planted in Christmas tree farms every year. Of course, I'm glad that new ones are being planted, but my heart still aches for all those siblings and cousins of mine, because I'm a tree, who had to be chopped down, and potentially dumped in the landfill only a few weeks later. In more recent years, however, the concept of tree cycling has gained popularity. As the name suggests, this process involves incentives by groups such as local councils to recycle fresh Christmas trees at the end of the festive season. But in my opinion, that still doesn't sound like the happiest fate for the trees. What's even better is the way some Christmas tree farms offer services where you pick your potted tree, use it for Christmas, then return it, still in the pot and therefore still alive, and do the same each year until it becomes too big to fit in your house and gets retired or planted for life. In other words, no humans ever mess around with its lifespan. Now, before I get too existential and start pondering how long I'll live or what my circumstances will be, I think it's time we wrapped things up. Haha. These days, Christmas trees really can take any form. From rainbow bristles and baubles, to monochrome minimalism, to tropical interpretations, or even space-saving chains of driftwood hanging on a wall. The sky really is the limit, although we never grow quite so tall. So whether you decorate your tree to celebrate the original Christian beliefs, or simply because it looks super cute, it always makes for a jolly good time. Even in a year as turbulent as this one, we know we'll always have Christmas. I think. The future sure is scary, but you know what isn't? Subscribing to my channel, and liking this video, and even leaving a comment if you so desire. So come on, let's spread some of that holiday cheer. Merry Christmas and goodbye.